Election lies fueled the Capitol insurrection 5 years ago. But as I write today for MS.now, Trump is still casting doubt on our elections. Quote, for many Americans, the attack on the Capitol feels like a part of history now. But January 6th was never just one day. It was a strategy. January 6th still matters because the same man who tested those limits once again is using familiar language about rigged elections and corrupt systems as we head towards the fall midterms. Don't just take my word for it, though. Here's Trump today explaining what might be driving some of these efforts.
You got to win the midterms, because if we don't win the midterms, it's just going to be, I mean, they'll find a reason to impeach me. I'll get impeached.
Well, my question is, what did you do? Joining us now is Democratic Senator Jackie Rosen of Nevada. She serves on the Foreign Relations Committee. I mean, if you was president, would you be concerned about getting impeached? I'm just saying.
You got me with the what did you do?
What did you do?
Because it's such an obvious question to that point. It's like, okay, why in the world would they even want to bring it up? Otherwise, never before in the history of the country had they done that, except for when a president has misbehaved. Senator, setting that crazy aside,
yes,
focusing in the beginning of this conversation on January 6th, you were there in the Capitol that day. You witnessed, and as we were talking in the last segment, this whitewashing, this rewriting of those moments when Americans all across the country watched this. People lived it as you did. What do you say to those who are trying to tell you your experience wasn't real, that it was, it really didn't happen that way, and that it was nothing more than, American citizens who wanted to express their, their belief in Donald Trump?
Well, I can tell you this. Don't let Donald Trump and his MAGA base gaslight you. Why am I going to say that? Well, my home, I've lived in southern Nevada, the Las Vegas area for 50 years. I know a few things about tourists and tourism. Those were no tourists at the Capitol on January 6th. I was there. No one drives around in their pickup truck with a gallows in the back, ready to set it up at a moment's notice. It was planned, it was prepared, it was premeditated, and they attacked that Capitol. And thank God that one of us didn't end up in that gallows, because if they would have found one congressman or one senator, many of us still have nightmares about that. They would have seen our pins or recognized our faces. They would have been glad to string somebody up there and hang them and burn them in effigy. So don't be fooled by what they're telling you. It happened, it was real, and those were no tourists.
It happened, it was real, and it's not just a thing that happens, it is a thing that is happening. It's not just a thing that sets a predicate for the future when we talk about future elections and the messages that he's trying to send. I would argue that there's a direct line between January 6th and the actions that this president recently took in Venezuela. A president who believes that Congress will give him, Republicans in Congress will give him a blank check, will provide air cover, will give him permission, no matter how illegal his actions. And what I would also argue is that that is no longer just about Donald Trump. It is about anyone in his orbit. I want you to take a listen to White House staffer Stephen Miller speaking on the record yesterday about where this is all headed.
By definition, we are in charge because we have the United States military stationed outside the country. We set the terms and conditions. We have a complete embargo on all of their oil and their ability to do commerce. So for them to do commerce, they need our permission. For them to be able to run an economy, they need our permissions. This is sort of foundational. The United States is using its military to secure our interests unapologetically in our hemisphere. We're a superpower, and under President Trump, we are going to conduct ourselves as a superpower.
Your Republican colleagues did not hold him accountable for what happened on January 6th. Will they hold him accountable for what he is now doing in Venezuela?
Well, I sure the hell hope so. And I can tell you this, my Republican colleagues, they must remember that game Twister, the kids play. They have twisted themselves in knots, and they should have a Republican version of that, because every one of my colleagues is so busy trying to figure out how they rationalize what shouldn't be rational, what is clearly illegal. Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, his whole cabinet, what they want to do is might makes right. They want to go in, they want to blow things up, they want to show the visual. They think they're going to strong arm everyone. They're going to go in and take over. Well, I got to tell you, we got an affordability crisis here. If he didn't notice a few days ago, December 31st, how many people are going to lose their health care. Donald Trump shouldn't be the president of Venezuela, Colombia, Argentina, Cuba, or take over Greenland. He better pay attention to the United States of America, where we have problems right here. People losing their health insurance, people losing their jobs, people not being able to afford their rent, their groceries. I can tell you his job-killing immigration, tariffs and immigration policies, they're hurting Nevada immensely. Tourism is way down. That means less shifts, people spending less money. That's immigration. He's cutting out energy projects right and left all across this country. In Iowa, they farm the corn. In Nevada, we farm the sun and geothermal. Let each state use its energy for the benefit of our constituents and our region. He's cutting out jobs. He's let health care go down the toilet. Who knows what's going to happen this month? We're trying to extend it because somebody's going to die. And he sends our men and women in uniform. We know at least 6 are injured. We know how many we think they've killed there before you send one young person for his visual show of blowing things up. That's a person that somebody loves. So you better damn well be sure that you've exhausted every other possibility. And the fact is, he's not even running the United States of America, let alone thinks he's going to run Venezuela.
Yeah. I mean, Stephen Miller, first of all, more Stephen Miller. He should do more interviews. Stephen Miller, you want to come on this show? I'm sure we would love to chat with you.
Oh, and what he said, there's a Constitution. He says, we're in charge? No, the Constitution rules us. There's an order. There's a United Nation. There's an order to the world democracy. Constitution's not a suggestion.
I'm glad you said that. It is not a suggestion. I thought it was the governing document and the foundational document of this country. So my question is to just reinforce what Alicia is asking. What about your Republican colleagues then? Because I'm going to be honest, when I hear what Stephen Miller is saying in that clip, what he's saying about Greenland, what I hear Secretary Marco Rubio saying about Greenland now, MS Now, 2 people have confirmed to MS Now that Wall Street Journal reporting that Trump wants to buy Greenland, even though Greenland says they're not for sale. Okay, I know you can buy something that's not for sale. Okay, somebody want to buy my house, I need to put it on for sale. Can't have my house if I'm not selling it. Otherwise, you're taking it. And that, to me, sounds like the language of Vladimir Putin. That sounds like the language of a dictator. That sounds like a language of somebody that doesn't give a damn about the rules.
Well, he doesn't give a damn about the rules. And I wish that my Republican colleagues need to get off that twister mat and stand up and get a backbone, because replace any other prior president, go back the last 250 years and put that name in instead of President Trump, would you have agreed with it? The answer would be a giant no. And everything he promised on day one, no more endless wars. Where's the peace president? He's starting a war with Venezuela. He's going to take over a NATO country. He's not the peace president. He's going to make prices more affordable. Well, didn't do that on day one. What has he done on day one except enrich himself, enrich his cronies? He's supposed to come to Congress when he goes in to do anything with our military. You know who he calls before and after, by his own admission? The oil companies.
So how do you, what's the countermeasure there? I mean, what do you expect from the Senate, from the House, from this concept of Congress? How do you respond when the president says, oh, I'm going to talk to everybody else and then I get to you later? Here, read about it on Twitter. That's right. Or find out about it in the Wall Street Journal.
Oh, and speaking of Twitter, I think instead of being in the real Situation Room doing this, he had something set up in I don't know where, at Mar-a-Lago. You can see people serving them drinks with little umbrellas right behind as they have Twitter up, and they're trying to they're kidnapping and working on regime change.
The pictures did not seem secure, Senator.
The pictures did not seem secure. So what do? It's true that we don't have the votes. But we are not without a voice. We are not without some mechanisms. You're going to see us this week voting on a War Powers resolution to stop Donald Trump from doing anything else in Venezuela. We're going to try
getting Republicans on the record.
Trying to get them on the record. And we have to be sure that every person out there listening, I want to tell you, you have a voice. You have a say. We cannot be quiet. Our silence is what Donald Trump wants. He wants to bully everyone with his strongman policies into silence. We should be afraid. I took an oath to protect and defend the Constitution, not to a party, not to a president, to this country 250 years. As messy and as crazy as we are, we've had our ups and downs. We always try to do better, learn from our mistakes, do better in the things that we did right. And that's what's made us a great country. And so we are not without our power, we're not without our passion, and not without our voice. So we'll use whatever tools we have here legislatively. We can use whatever tools we can in the courts. And then we have to fight for our rights at the ballot box, in November, so that we can bring the love for our Constitution and for our democracy and for being able to have disagreements, civil disagreements that don't turn into something like January 6th. We can right the ship and bring our democracy back on track.